welcome to the Green Room. My name is Danielle Carpidi, and I am so excited today. I have the vivacious, sexy songwriter, most talented, and the first time I've ever seen the most infectious smile ever. Welcome, Bianca Grange.
What do you want? What do you want from me?
All your money.
There's no money in the bank, don't worry. There's absolute nothing, so I'll have to cook for you then.
That's good enough. That's very good enough. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It's really, really a pleasure. You know, I watched you on the Idols and on television, and I was like, this girl, she says she's from Park. She says she's from Eldos. Which part of Eldos does she come from?
Don't start! Are you from Eldos?
Yes!
Woo! Here we go. Here comes all the tabas.
Everything.
So, firstly, when people say I watched you on Idols, and then I go, how old are you? Then they're like, no, I was like 2 years old when I watched you. And then it just reveals my age. But yes, I am from Eldos.
Okay.
I grew up in Bushkoppies.
Okay.
Which is actually called Eldorado Estate.
Yes.
But they don't call it that because otherwise you're too bougie.
Bougie, yeah.
That's the new word. In
Yes.
the old times, in the old
Hi,
days.
Buck.
Yes.
I can say it. I can say it.
Now you're showing your age. No, and also BC.
And BC.
Do you know what it is, a BC?
No.
Better colored.
Oh.
No, not at all. Not at all. Bushkoppies is literally divided by the Potchefstroom Old Highway.
Yes.
So after Extension 1, that's where Bushkoppies is. I think that was one of the first places colored people could buy plots and build their own houses. So it wasn't council houses, it wasn't houses built by the government.
Yes.
It was built, you had to get an architect and you had to build it yourself. So that's what makes it so significant in that area. And it is... It feels like a bit of like a farmlands because there's cows and there's sheep walking around.
Yes.
But it is Eldos. I grew up in Eldos. When I say I grew up in Eldos, I went to Herencroft Primary School.
Okay.
My mother recently retired from Herencroft Primary.
Okay.
So I used to do ballet in Extension 2 at Pop Center, and I used to play tennis back in the day. Now I show you my age. Back in the day, I used to play tennis at the tennis club. We used to have a tennis club at the stadium in Old Eldos.
Old Eldos, yes.
Yes. And my church, the Methodist Church, which I
Yes.
go to both Methodist Church.
Okay.
The one at the top in the
And the
two.
one- yes.
And the one at the bottom. So I'm an Eldos girl.
Okay.
I'm definitely an Eldos girl. My first boyfriend was from Eldos.
Okay.
So a lot of firsts happen in Eldos. So I'm an Eldos girl.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so we're starting on a common ground here. But the difference is, right, you went to school in Eldo, so you experienced the difference between attending school in Eldorado Park. And then you go to NSA. You traitor. You end up in NSA and your life changes.
It was before that. I went to Robert Cham Primary School.
Okay, that makes it even worse.
Let me explain. So
Okay.
what people don't remember and never talk about, and I want to tell these stories going forward because I'll get to that later. But when Nelson Mandela came out of prison and things were changing in the country, we could go to white school.
Yes.
Do you remember white school? Model C school, they called it.
Yes.
And I ended up going to Robert Cham Primary right here in the south.
Yes.
And that was, I think, grade... I don't know the grades thing.
Sub A.
It's actually standard 4. So what is it, like grade
6.
Grade 6 is
Yes,
a grade 6.
6 is standard 4. There you go.
It's because it's plus 4 minus 4. No?
It's plus minus 2.
Right.
It's plus 2.
Did you do maths?
Yes.
Oh, great. I didn't. I did music.
Okay.
Same thing.
Fair enough.
So ended up at Robert Cham Primary, and we were like, we're going to show these white kids.
Yeah.
Yes, we come from Eldos, and yes, we colored, but we're just as talented and just as clever.
Okay.
So I don't know where that mentality actually came from, but it was a very competitive time for me in my life as a young person. We really felt like we needed to showcase and prove.
Yes.
And needless to say, somewhere in the first year, we were made prefects. We took over the choir. We were some of the modeling competition winners. And I had a best friend, Kim.
Okay.
Kim August, who held my hand and pushed me, and I pushed her, and it was that competitive cycle. But then in standard 4,
Yes.
grade 6,
Yes.
grade,
Yeah.
grade 6.
Remember plus 2 minus
Yeah,
2.
oh yeah. Grade 6, my teachers told my parents that I'm an unusual kid.
Okay.
Meaning that I had a lot of creativity.
Okay.
And I was already studying piano and violin at the time.
Okay.
So they thought that I would actually persevere at an art school. So I auditioned for 2 years. I prepared. So from standard 4 right up in end of standard 5, I was preparing for an audition for NSA, and it was not easy.
Wow, I didn't know that
Yeah.
was the process. I
Yes.
really didn't know that. So
Yeah,
thank
they
you
have
for
like
sharing that.
grade system and all of that. Yeah.
Yes. So then you move into NSA, and now you're with like-minded people. You know?
Now you now they say be a big fish in a small pond, or a small
Yes.
fish in a big
In a big
pond.
pond,
You know
yeah.
that saying?
Yes.
So I was a big fish in Aldo's. I was the most talented, the most pretty, the most everything.
Yes.
And then you step into a world where there's people exactly like you. And now the competition's different.
Yes.
Now you are on the same playing field, same playing, level.
Yeah.
And now you have to prove yourself. Now you have to grow. Now, needless to say, I studied classical piano
Okay.
and violin. So when I got to standard 9, I actually failed my standard 9 year. Not many people know this. I don't even think my parents do.
Wow.
But my standard 9 year, or my grade 11 year,
Yes.
didn't go so well because the standard was just so high. And I was partying up a storm. I was not being the good girl. My boyfriend was a gangster from Aldo's. And they introduced contemporary music right that year.
Okay.
So I went to go and audition for the contemporary part of it, and I went to sing. And because I've been singing my whole life,
Yes.
I was like, okay, I'm not going to play the piano and the violin,
yeah.
which was my strong points actually. I'm going to go sing, and I got in by singing, and that's how I could do my matric year.
Wow.
By doing contemporary music at the National School of the Arts.
So now you gain all that experience, I mean, and then it catapults you into a different world of music now.
Yes.
Now you're doing Idols.
No.
The Idols was this, you were part of the season 4 in Idols, right?
Yes. So not season 4, the first season.
Oh, so the first season.
Yeah.
Okay. You're part of the first season in Idols. And what's happening in your head there? Is it the same feeling that you experienced when you were auditioning as you were singing for the first time, when you were doing your grade 11 audition? Is it the same feeling? What's happening to you there?
So I need to put it into context.
Okay.
Before Idols happens, there's 2 years after high school.
Okay.
And I'd go and I travel throughout South Africa, Namibia, and Botswana.
Yes.
And I do missionary work.
Wow.
As in church work.
Yes.
So I go and I enroll in a Afrikaans NG Kerk.
Wow.
Heavy like Boere vibes. And I wanted to get away. I wanted to get away from Aldo's. I wanted to get away from my parents. I wanted to get away from everything.
Yes.
And I went to do 2 years of mission work, traveling South Africa, seeing a bit of Namibia and Botswana. And it was probably one of the most difficult things I did in my life, but one of the most rewarding. Because there's where I decided who I am, what I want to believe in, what I want to do with my life.
Yeah.
They call it a gap year.
Yes. It's a gap year.
So people do different things in a gap year. I decided to follow the church journey. And it was difficult because it was white Afrikaans people. I was like one of the only non-white people there. We traveled. We would go to like small little burkie towns. And then you get there and I have to stay at the pastor's house. No, not at the back. At the pastor's house. They wouldn't put me in the back door. Don't you mind me. I arrived there in fur coats and all my luggage. I was like, can I have a porter, please? I was more white than them. Anyway, but and I'd say to them, why must I always stay at the pastor? Because they were concerned that I would experience some kind of racism. But I would end up going into these communities, and I promise you, because of my personality,
yeah.
my outgoing nature, I love people, I love stories, I love food,
Yes.
and I'm a bit of a naughty girl as well. I would always end up with the naughty kids.
Okay.
That's how you win people's hearts over. And I'll never forget one woman said to me, if all colored people are like you, then they can all be welcome in their accent with the whole in Afrikaans. So that happened, and then I decided I wanted to study musical theater.
Yeah.
At TUT in Pretoria.
Yes.
It was still called Pretoria Tech at the time.
Yes.
And I was studying for about 3 months, and then my mother came knocking on the door. I don't know how much I can swear here. Hoeveel kan ek vloek hierso?
Net genoeg, 'n bietjie
genoeg. So klein
ons
bietjie.
gaan
Can you
bleep
teeth it out?
Ja,
Can you
bleep it
Okay.
out.
So my mom arrives there with Auntie Bebs, and they're like, look, we're going to enter you into this competition.
Yeah.
It's called Idols.
Yes.
And I was like, no, I'm studying. I'm a studying person. I'm a university girl now. I ain't got time for idols. What is this idols? Yeah. They're like, no, this is the next big thing in South Africa. You got to do it. I was like, no. Hulle het my so gesoebat. Eventually, Auntie Bev says, worry, ons gaan vir jou rek by jou tette en jou mond oop en toe klap om vir die judges te sing. So jy beter kom. So if you know aunties, and colored aunties from Eldos, you don't mess with them.
Yes.
And I didn't want my tete to be wrecked.
No, you're far too young and too sexy for that.
So I entered, and that audition didn't go well. It didn't go well.
Really?
Yes, I sang The Greatest Love of All, and Randall Abrams said, yeah, we've heard that like 10,000 times today. Can't you sing something else? Like, so boring. You know how nervous you're there when you get in front of them? You've never done this before. It was never done before. And I had a spunk and a personality and all sorts of things. So throughout the day, I was hanging out with the presenters and all the other judges. So you bring that personality vibe. So I was like, well, honey, just tell me what you want to sing and I'll sing it, you know?
Yes.
Because that was my first experience. I came from NSA.
Of course.
In high school, I was singing with Sibongile Khumalo. I was singing with Prince, what's Prince's surname? That sings like Louis Armstrong. Anyway, so I was already performing with the National Symphony Orchestra with Richard Koch at the time. Yeah. So my professional career actually started way long before.
Yes.
So I had a repertoire already.
Yes.
And I was a church girl.
On top
I was
of
a
that.
church girl. I sang in church with mom and the pastor. We were the trio. So if you needed a trio for the funeral or the wedding,
it was you.
150 rands doll.
Only
For the soloist, the soloist, the organist, and the pastor.
Only.
Yeah, it was only 150. So I would go to funerals and weddings, especially funerals, and cry my eyes out for the people that I didn't know. But I was practicing my acting for the future, you know.
For the future.
So your question was, how did it feel? All auditions are difficult.
Yeah.
You never know what people want. You're always nervous.
Yes.
You're always unprepared. It's always a daunting thing to audition, but I went in there with an open heart, an open mind to experience something great. And I was like, you know what? If I go through, I go through. If I don't, I got my studies to fall onto.
You still have your studies to fall back onto.
Yeah.
Wow. And I was looking at your bio and I was like, there is so much to take in here. It's like a big cake that you just keep eating out of.
Oh.
And you are so versatile.
Oh.
And I think about it and I go, how does one go from, I want to be a singer, and then move on to, I'm going to move into acting, and then move on to, right, I'm going to do songwriting. How do you then put that all together?
So musical theater
Yes.
is a combination of all those things. Mm-hmm. Musical theater, you have to act, you have to sing, you have to dance, you have to be able to do accents.
Yes.
You got to do everything on stage. Everything that happens on a stage, you must know.
Yep.
From the lighting to the sound to the backdrops to everything.
Yep.
And I was told after Idols, I was told that I'm too versatile, that I'm too flamboyant, that I'm too everything. In our time, there weren't examples. You know, we were the guinea pigs of our
Yes,
time.
yes.
So you're talking about, there's so many elements to this that I actually want to touch on. For instance, contracts that we had to sign. There wasn't any kinds of contracts before. The people who used to sign contracts were the Shell Road to Famous back in the day when they did deals with the SABC or deals with Ati van Wyk, who was the biggest concert promoter at the time.
Yes.
And here was a whole new generation of young, black, colored, exciting new breeds coming onto the scene, and they didn't know what to do with us. And we came with fire.
Fire, because
We
you were
came
so
feisty, we came
multifaceted.
talented,
Yeah.
we came with intelligence.
Yes.
Ons was nie dom nie.
Yes, you weren't dumb. So
No, and what people also need to understand, a lot of our older artists signed their rights away.
Yeah.
Their rights to their names, their rights to their images, their rights to their songs, you know, their rights to their stories. And we came on board going, no, I don't want to
doesn't
do
make
that.
sense,
I don't want to do that. So when that was happening, you get a lot of backlash, you get a lot of pushback. And I had a lawsuit after Idols
Wow.
and lost a lot of money and a lot of
Wow.
everything. A lot of my experience was tainted. So a lot of people don't know that story because they don't talk about it in the papers. They just want to talk about
taught the fabulosity.
look at how fat she is, look at how much she is. Did you hear her kak song? You know that. And a lot of that time, I'm talking about the Zola Sevens.
Yes.
I'm talking about the Brenda Fassies of that time. I'm talking about the Rebecca Malopez.
Yes.
Those are the people that, you know, started to push back and started to fight back and started to own their own songs and own their own images and music and stories. And those are the people that we were looking up to. So
Yes.
I started to push back and I got a lot of backlash. So I decided to go into a different side of the industry, which was Afrikaans. So yes, I have a lot of pies that I put my fingers into.
Yeah.
But because I was told that I'm too versatile and that I'm too all over the place, I decided, you know what?
It's okay. I'm gonna move on.
I was like, whatevs. I'm gonna move on.
But that's the whole point of being an artist. And I think with today, what we call versatility is just somebody who's got followers and putting them in a different space because then they're going to bring their followers with them, which is not versatility. And what you've described is actual talent. And that's the difference today. But how do you maintain your career in today's world, in the skrs, in the I'll just go on Instagram and get 100 followers and then I can be a celebrity, or I'll feature on a song and just say hi yo, and I'm gonna get needle time for that. How do you still stay relevant as you are today?
I think one must first understand that I don't do this for likes.
Yeah.
I don't do this for accolades or yes, it's nice and it would be great to be recognized. We were the first that paved
the way, the right way.
Literally paved it.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And that was paving that we stood on from previous artists before us. And we paved and we paved and we taught and we shared. Your question is two things that I understand. You're asking how do you stay relevant and how do you bring the versatility with
Into it, yeah.
It's to reinvent, to constantly reinvent. I'm going to be 40 this year.
Wow.
It'll be my 19th year in the industry. And every year I tackle it, I take it on with a new dream and a new vision for the year. So I go, I want to produce a theater show this year.
Okay.
And who do I want to work with? What do I want to say? My motivation is motivated by story. It's motivated by what I want to put out into the world. It's motivated by how I'm feeling. It's motivated by many, many things. We are living in a broken world, more now than ever before.
Yeah.
People have lost so much during COVID. So for me, my motivation for everything that I do, and I do a lot of things, a lot of things. I don't only sing.
Yes.
I act, I perform, I direct, I produce. My motivation is always story-based. I'm so tired of American stories and European stories. when I look at our own stories right in Elders, right in Soweto, right in Alex, right in Joburg, Cape Town, everywhere in our country. And I travel a lot in our country.
Yes.
I'm actually a Northern Cape girl, by the way.
Okay.
Born in Kimberley. My parents came to Johannesburg to seek a better life.
Yeah.
And when I go back there, I see the poverty. I see the need. I see the outcry for help, for just notice me, you know.
Yes.
And that's the thing. We're trying to aspire so much to be like everybody else, but we're not trying to be us.
Yeah.
And more than ever before, I try to coach, encourage, innovate, create, share with everybody around me, whether it's my Instagram followers, it's Twitter followers, Facebook followers, the children I teach, anybody, meeting you.
Yeah.
You know, it's exciting for me to see this environment that you're sitting here creating this. It's so exciting, and I'm going to give you my tips and my pros and cons after when I'm done.
Please do. Please do.
With that said, the only way is to constantly dream, to constantly seek within, because that's where the answers lie. They don't lie without. And we're always trying to find the solutions outside when we've already got the solutions right here inside of us.
You know, you're speaking so intensely about finding within, and it's such a difficult process. And I think it's a process that you learn and you have to practice and remind yourself every single day to do. No matter how old you are, it's something that you seek for within. But what we see is this beautiful Bianca, and I mean, she makes everything look so effortless. And the little girl sitting in Kimberley or the little girl sitting in Elders goes, oh, it was soos Bianca wees.
Yes.
What is it that you think is lacking in terms of the music industry and what we bring forth to the people to make them understand the process of becoming Bianca? What is it that you think we're lacking on?
Okay, firstly, don't become Bianca. Be who you are, because that is unique and special and will never top anybody else.
Yeah.
Being you is probably the greatest gift that you could ever receive, because your story is unique. It's only your story. Nobody else has your story.
Yeah.
Maybe there is a story like it, but it's your story. It's your face, it's your voice, it's your hands, it's your big bum, it's your alles. Yeah. Nobody has it the way you have it. So I would say we live in the best time right now. It sounds very wrong in how I'm saying it, but we're living in the greatest time, because when change happens in the world, the people who are going to put the effort in, who are going to do the work, who are going to showcase themselves, build themselves, those are the people that are going to have longevity.
Yeah.
So if you are sitting around dreaming, oh, I wish, it's just going to be a dream.
Yeah.
You're just going to dream and nothing's going to happen. If you're going to get up and actually do something, we live in such a great time. And young people today have no excuse. They have no excuse, because everything you need, all the tools you need, are right on the internet. We live in a time where everybody has access to knowledge, but they don't use it.
Yeah.
So for instance, I get kids texting me going, yo, I want to sing, man. I want to sing. I'm like, dude, go on YouTube. You can have classes on just going on YouTube.
Yep.
Stop buying beers or weed.
Yeah.
Go on YouTube, invest in your vocals if you want to sing. You want to be a videographer, go on YouTube. Everything is on YouTube right now. They have so much access. If I think of my time, we stood in a recording studio, not even knowing, must we sing in the mic? What's the guy saying by the window? We didn't know. We just faked it until we made it. You know, you get into an interview, and the person's interviewing you, and the thing is scratching you here, and you're nervous, and you're pulling your clothes, and we live in a time that everything is so accessible. There's so much knowledge out there. Anything you need to know, you can type in business proposal on the internet, and it will give you templates of a business proposal. So I think that right now, people have no excuse. Whatever you want to be, you can be that. you can be it right now, right here, with little resources, with little money.
Yeah.
It's one step at a time that makes you grow.
Okay, so little steps definitely do get you somewhere. Can you say the same even though we've experienced this pandemic? How do people shift their thinking? And I mean, you told me something very interesting before we started, and you said you experienced corona twice. It actually affected you directly twice.
Yes,
How was that like?
I had it twice last year. The first time I was dubbing one of those telenovelas. Have you ever watched one of those telenovelas?
Yes.
They are so cool, and I was playing a lead character, but they were using my voice. Dubbing is where they take your voice. So talk about doing a lot. Where they take your voice and they put it on these
The Spanish ones.
the Spanish or the Italian, whatever these telenovelas are about. And it's such a safe environment because it was me and an engineer.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention the company, but I would come in, you get tested at the gate, the whole take your temperature,
Yes.
sign in, masks, everything, do the sanitizing, everything. And I get in and they show you how they sanitize the room. It's a little room. It's probably, it's tiny, maybe a third, not even a third. Yeah, I'd say a third of this space. And here, I started feeling the scratch while I'm speaking. I said to the guy, listen, man, because he wears mask, I wear mask, I go into a little cubicle.
Yeah.
So it's a room with a cubicle, and you go
Okay.
into that cubicle. When you touch the door handle, they sanitize it. They were like freakish,
Yes.
freakish, careful.
Yes.
And I said, I'm feeling a scratch. I don't feel there's something here. He says, no, man, there's nothing. They just sanitize the room. You're fine. I get home that evening because you do something like 12 hours of dubbing. I get home and my husband says to me, he's an actor on Getrouwd met Rugby, which is on CakeNet. Yes. And he was working at the time. He says, babe, our set was just closed today.
No.
I was like, what do you mean? No, somebody has corona and the set is closed. So I was like, well, my throat is freakishly scratchy. We're going to go test right now. And we go to my doctor and we go test. And David is negative. The next day, we get our test result. David is negative and I'm positive.
Wow.
And I'm like, call the company. I'm like, you better get your engineer to get tested because I'm positive. They test the engineer. He's negative. So I didn't know where I picked it up.
Gosh.
Even though they had a positive case at my husband's work, I didn't know. No symptoms, school, just a scratchy throat, I had a bit of a cold sore, nothing. Then I get a role in a movie and I'm like, woo, role in a movie. Now I'm acting in this film and my fellow actor Charlene Surti Richards, who's my industry mom.
Okay.
She's Nena, Nena, people will know her as Nena.
Yes.
Or what was that character in Generations? I can't remember.
Was it not Charlene? Did she play Charlene in Generations? No, it wasn't Charlene.
Yeah, but
I
anyway.
think yeah.
So we on set, and again, I get the splitting headache. I'm just like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. I go. They're like, no, just come in. We'll take you for a test. Very blasé. Also very hectic with the testing and sanitizing and everything. Everybody's like social distancing. It's very safe vibes. And I go and I test at Santon Clinic and they say, you're positive. This time round, felt like an elephant sitting on my chest. Felt like I was literally dying. I couldn't breathe. I had a rash all over my body. I had headaches that were like, I used to get migraines as a child.
Yes.
Those were bad. This was next level. This was like in the middle of my head. I couldn't get to it. So it was like in the middle here.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just horrible. And in this time, it was December. So the first time I had it was in August. And then I had it again in December of last year. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm very, wary about my surroundings and where I go and who I speak to and
making
stuff.
sure to
Yeah.
stay safe all the
Just
time.
to stay safe, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I'm so glad that you survived it as well.
So let's get to your question.
Yes.
It was the worst year of my life.
Thank you for saying it.
It was the worst year
Thank
of
you.
anybody's life. I think it was it end of March when the president announced.
Yeah.
2 weeks before that, I had cancelled gigs till June. I had gigs till June. Lost maybe 85,000 rand from all those gigs, and that was just like Mickey Mouse stuff. It was like do an appearance here, do a thing here. It wasn't the big corporates that we normally do, and I was devastated because, as you know, we are freelancers. Well, I'm a freelancer, and every month you live month to month basically. Besides gaining royalties, which only pay every 6 months.
Oh my god.
As it says, Manda. So there's no money coming in. There's zero money coming in. So the government announced that we're going to get a relief fund. And we're excited. We can see the millions coming in. And you are going to apply for the work that you lost.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, okay, at least 80,000
rand is coming back.
It's coming back to me. Even if they say we'll only give you 50%.
But in simple maths, that's what it's supposed to mean.
Yeah. Applied, got declines because we work very differently in the entertainment industry. You get a phone call from a club owner. Hey, Bianca, I want to book you for a gig on the 25th of June. Are you available? Let me know what your fee is.
Yeah.
Hey, George, I'm available for the 25th. My fee is 15K. I'm going to be with my band or whatever. Cool. That's the deal. The government wanted emails. They wanted paperwork.
Confirmation.
They wanted confirmation. Yeah. They wanted all that stuff. It wasn't there. And every single musician that I know had the same problem. So there was no way that you could prove that you had the work.
Wow.
The only time you actually do get contracts and those kind of things is when you're working with massive companies like an Old Mutual or a VW or a McDonald's or whatever. That's when you're getting contracts, or if you're working through an agent. But if you're a freelancer like myself and you're speaking to clients directly, you have a mutual trust. I've been working with Danielle for 7 years. She's been booking me for her son's 16th birthday, her mother's 60th confirmation at the church.
Yeah.
How do I show that I've been working with you for so long? But there's so many things at play, and the government was not there for us.
Yeah.
The corruption stuff that came out, and I can't say it's true or not, but if it's in the newspaper, I guess there's some
truth to it.
Some truth to it. I don't think journalists would go out of their way to write stuff if they don't have some kind of sources. It's disgusting.
I mean, the information that you're giving me, Bianca, is, I don't even want to use the word mind-blowing. I think it's gutting. You guys are technically the faces of South Africa. If anybody wants to see the music that is represented, the diversity, anybody can Google South Africa and your face can pop up. Anybody can Google Bianca. Your face is going to pop up. Behind the camera, you do so much. In front of the camera, you put South Africa on the map.
Yeah.
And this is the way that you get treated. I heard one of your interviews. I was listening just to do a little bit of research, and I heard you say some artists don't even have medical aid, and I was like, oh my gosh.
No, not some. Most.
Sure.
Most. We're governed by labor law. We pay the same taxes, yet we don't get the same privileges. And it's been a long struggle. I'm also an actress, so I know the acting side of it as well. Sorry, I'm getting emotional, but I lost one of my drummers to COVID, and it wasn't that long ago. If you're having your band members call you to say, I have no food to feed my kids, can I borrow $60? $60. to buy some bread, some mealie meal, some veggies, just to be able to cook for your family. We make our money from live gigs, from live shows. We make our money from people going to restaurants, going to festivals, going to the club, going to the church service.
Yeah.
You know, I know some jazz musicians that have studied, that are masters in jazz music, that have studied, that they've got a master's. You know how long it takes to get a master's. Yet you don't have money, you don't have food, you don't have a place to stay. I know probably 70% of the musicians that I know are Cape Townians, and most of them are gone back home living with their parents again, with their full families. Spend maybe 4, 5, maybe 10 years in Joburg, trying to make it, trying to. Yeah, there's so many stories, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There is. And we gotta believe, we as musicians, as artists, as entertainers, I think everything that we do comes from a spiritual place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you make a song, it doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
It's for me, it's always a feeling. It's always inspired by something.
Yeah.
And that is real. That is truth. That isn't something that you can buy.
Yes.
So the fact that we're not taking care of our artists, and I'm talking on all spectrums, just shows what society we live in, what South Africa is all about.
Do you think we can change that, Bianca? Do you think
Yes.
there's a way that we could change that?
Yes, we as the people can change it.
As the artist people, or just as
Yes.
audiences as well?
Yes, both.
And how would you suggest that we do that?
I would say we must stop singing about tits and ass and booze and start singing about the things that matter. We need to go back to the Shakespearean time and talk about the things that matter. We need to start rapping about the inequality in South Africa that still exists in an economical platform. White people are still running things. But then the government, and there's only an elite group of people that are making money, and they don't want to share it.
Yeah.
They don't want to spread that wealth. B is the facade. It's not helping anybody in this country but the private sector and government. It doesn't help the people on the ground. I'm currently, I started a business last year because I couldn't sit and wait for anybody to give me a hand up. Everything I've ever done and worked for, I did it myself. You know, as people think I'm this successful person, I'm not. I have down days. There's days I can't even pay my water bill.
Yes.
There's days I can't put petrol in my car to I had 60 kilometers on my car just to get here.
Jeez.
And I was like, that's gonna be enough to get me to the interview and back.
Yeah. And
then I'll worry about tomorrow.
Yes.
I struggle hard, but I also help a lot. People are going through mental issues. So many suicides. I've lost a few friends to suicide this year. And that's very hard for me.
Yeah.
Because if you just spoke to me, you know, I have a room. Come stay by me.
Talk to me. Yeah.
Come talk to me. I'll help you. So it's really hard for me what's happening in our country, and we can fight.
We definitely
Love will always prevail.
Yeah.
The people's fight will always prevail. Truth will always prevail. If we just stand together and come together and do it. We need to start talking about the things that matter now.
Now.
Yeah.
Gosh, that is...
And we need to start challenging them.
Yes. Yes.
Nobody's being accountable for what they're doing. In here.
Yep.
I don't want to mention any names because I don't want to be targeted by any political group. Because I don't ever give my political views or my religious views in any interview.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm at a point where I'm like, I need to start speaking out.
Yeah.
I need to start taking a stand.
And I think a phenomenal woman who's like I keep saying, multifaceted. I mean, we couldn't even touch a little bit on the amazing work you've done. I mean, behind theatre, on stage, just in general, the foundations you've assisted, the plays you've written. We couldn't even touch on that. But just before I close, I just want to find out if there's anything you'd like to say, perhaps, or advice to any little girl out there, or something that's just deep on your heart, bar from what you just said, because that's really touching. But anything beyond that that you'd like to end us off with?
Yes. It is important to realize that you are special. It is important to realize that you are powerful. And it is important to realize that you are a creative. You were created to create in all aspects of life. It is important to affirm yourself when you wake up in the morning. Stop seeking affirmation from social media or boys or girls. It is important to seek affirmation from yourself. I am beautiful. I am powerful. I am great. We try to seek for these things outside, and this is the biggest lesson of my life that I had to learn. Because of that, people took advantage. Because of that, I made trillions of mistakes. But you must affirm yourself. Anything is possible.
Awesome.
What you think,
yes,
is what you will possess. I believe it 100,000,000%. Listen properly. But I'll leave you with the last one. Your attitude towards life will determine life's attitude towards you.
Fantastic. I'm so glad once again that I was able to be graced with your presence and your words and your authenticity. And I think that's the most important thing today. Thank you so much for joining us on The Green Room. Bianca, it was fantastic having you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us here on The Green Room. You've heard it all from our fabulous Bianca. Please remember to stay safe, wear your masks, and keep your social distance. From us here at The Green Room, goodbye.